So Corey Davis has retired from the NFL. Let's talk about it. So the news that Corey Davis was retiring definitely was shocking because Davis is only 28 years old. He was featured very prominently during training camp, was making a lot of plays, making a lot of noise. It sounded like he was, set to have a pretty nice season this upcoming year. And then the fact that he retired just took me completely by storm. I was like, what do you mean Corey Davis is retiring? Is this fake news? Just kind of one of those moments that make you say, wow, like what just happened? Now, while it was out of the blue for us, definitely wasn't an out of the blue thing for the New York Jets. Rich Cimini reported that Corey Davis informed the New York Jets that he was thinking about retiring as early as the spring before, the offseason program even began. And whenever he missed time in OTAs, it was because he was thinking about retiring. And it sounded like he was, willing to play football again, but as training camp went along, he probably felt less and less engaged with the game. And then the past few practices Corey Davis has missed because of personal reasons were, of course, him, debating about whether or not to retire or not. And, it sounds like he did lose that debate and he, ended up hanging up the cleats. Now, of course, a lot of respect to Corey Davis. If you don't want to play football anymore, that's 100% okay. If whatever makes you happy, do it. If you don't want to play football anymore, you don't want to play football anymore. That's that. Completely respect Corey Davis's decision. But what does this mean for the New York Jets? Well, first off, we do get $10 million added to our salary cap because of Corey Davis retiring. On his contract, he had $10 million of non-guaranteed money. And what is ironic about that is that this entire offseason, everyone was clamoring for the New York Jets to trade Corey Davis, cut Corey Davis so we could get that $10 million. And we eventually did get that $10 million, but obviously not under, the circumstances that we thought we would end up getting it under. But the main thing we're thinking about is what does this mean for our wide receiver room? Because I thought Corey Davis was the second best wide receiver on the roster, was going to be our wide receiver 2 this upcoming year. So of course, with him retiring, I view that as one of our starters just leaving before the season starts. We're losing the starting player. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, that's not to say that we don't have guys that could come in and take his spot. I mean, Allen Lazard has been wide receiver 2/3 with the Green Bay Packers over the past few years. Same thing could be said about Mecole Hardman. It's not like we don't have guys that could come in and fill Corey Davis' role. I just feel like Corey Davis would have been the best in his role, and it just sucks to see him go. But the wide receiver room isn't in complete shambles. It's not like we don't have the guys in the room to make up for Corey Davis's absence, because we absolutely do. But it just sounds like the New York Jets wanted a lot from this wide receiver room, a lot of talent, a lot of production. We, of course, know we were trying to get Odell Beckham Jr. this entire offseason, never got him, and they would just realize, we're okay with Corey Davis. So it, of course, makes you wonder if Joe Douglas is going to be actively searching and trying to get that other guy in the wide receiver room that Odell Beckham Jr. or, of course, Corey Davis would have been. And it makes you think, is there any way the Jets could add that wide receiver? Well, the free agent market definitely isn't going to do it. The biggest name free agents available right now at the wide receiver room include Kenny Golladay, Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry, Sammy Watkins, and T.Y. Hilton. Now, if this was 4 years ago, obviously we would be pounding on the table for the Jets to add one of those guys, but this isn't 4 years ago, and only one of those guys had more than 300 receiving yards last year, Sammy Watkins, who ironically enough played half of last season with the Green Bay Packers. Maybe Aaron Rodgers wants a reunion. Who knows? But at the stage of all of these guys' career, none of them are going to come in and really make more of an impact than Randall Cobb would. It was reported earlier in the offseason, like before the draft even happened, that the Jets had interest in Julio Jones, but I don't know if that interest is still there. That was, of course, before we signed Randall Cobb. So, I don't know if that interest is still there or not, but who knows? Maybe Julio Jones might be joining the New York Jets, but also doubt it. We could make a trade, but at this point in the offseason, what big name wide receivers are going to be on the move? First name that comes to mind, and really the only name, is Mike Evans. It's been circled around for quite a while now that the Buccaneers might trade him. Never really official news, prominent news from a good source. Kind of just been the word around the campfire that Mike Evans might get traded. But if he hasn't gotten traded this offseason, I don't think he will, especially few weeks ahead of the season starts. If he does get traded, probably would be around the time of the trade deadline. But would the New York Jets really want to bank that Mike Evans gets traded at the deadline and him be that extra guy in the wide receiver room? I don't think so. What we honestly see happen is Joe Douglas scurrying the waiver wire, trying and hoping that a wide receiver that is decent gets cut, and he's going to do everything he can to go up and scoop that guy, even if it means trading for him before he gets cut, similar to what we did with Kalen Ballage back in, I want to say, 2020. Or the New York Jets just say, you know what, we're cool with this wide receiver room we have. We're going to rely more on our tight ends and hope that one of our fringe roster players, someone like Jason Brown-Lee, Malik Taylor, Xavier Gibson, can come up and play better than we expected, which could happen, but also, who knows? What I expect this Jets wide receiver room to look like week 1 against the Buffalo Bills is Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Mecole Hardman, Randall Cobb, a waiver wire wide receiver, and one of Jason Brown-Lee, Malik Taylor, or Xavier Gibson. That's what I think the wide receiver room looks like. But yeah, definitely Corey Davis retiring was just a complete bombshell. Big breaking news. Definitely was not expecting to hear that 2 weeks before the season starts, but here we are. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know down below. Hit the subscribe and like button if you also enjoy the content, and I'm your host, Juliet, signing off for now. See you guys later. Peace.